with the work of these organizations, with populations that in 2018 will be 380 million and will be 550 million in 2050. In other words, 45% of the African continent. So we see immense potential before us in terms of agriculture, mining, but also in other resources in terms of oil and petrol and fisheries. The 15 member states have relations with Japan and participate frequently in meetings. And it's quite clear that between West Africa and Japan, we are talking about $2 billion of trade. In other words, this constitutes 12% of trade between Japan and the whole of Africa. And when one looks at the West African trade with Japan, we remain convinced that the level of trade can in fact be improved. And in fact, the potential can be even better realized. So it is important, therefore, to say that we can develop the economy, and many policies have been implemented in terms of initiatives for the private sector, as well as the creation of jobs. And we have also embarked upon other reforms on a regional level. In other words, we've tried to do our utmost to facilitate public and private partnerships, and in order to mitigate risks associated with investment. And is also worthy of talking about Japan's considerable investment in our public and private sectors. And it's very important that we continue in this vein. And ECOWAS wants us and should encourage us to continue. We need to reinforce competitiveness, and this is done by the acceleration of investment in infrastructure and to ensure also greater interconnectivity in terms of energy, transport, telecommunications, as well as other technologies and IT. It also is something that is found elsewhere, in other words, human capacities. And it's therefore important that we talk about ECOWAS and what it does in terms of health and education and also social matters. ECOWAS has also elaborated an agricultural policy with a common vision to ensure that there is long-term agricultural security and also to ensure an increase.
Thank you, President Mahamadou. Our next speaker is His Excellency President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
Chairperson, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, on behalf of my delegation and indeed on my own behalf, may I take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to the government and people of Japan for the warm hospitality extended to me and my delegation. Our participation in this important conference reaffirms my government's continued commitment to the TICAD process. The private sector is a valued partner in sustainable economic development in our quest to transform, modernize, and industrialize our economies. My government has put in place comprehensive reforms to accelerate the economic development agenda. We have embarked on the ease of doing business reforms, which seek to enhance the country's investment environment. The Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency will ensure that all investment information is available and processed under one roof. Specialized commercial courts have also been established. Under my administration, Zimbabwe has liberalized our investment conditions by repealing the Indigenization and Economic Empowerment Act. This now allows for greater investments and the private sector participation across all sectors. We should in turn further accelerate our economic transformation and industrialization. Guided by our Zimbabwe is open for business mantra, my administration is determined to continue implementing reforms aimed at making Zimbabwe a safe, favorable, and competitive investment destination. We are promoting private sector-led investments, particularly in agriculture, mining, manufacturing, energy, infrastructure, ICTs, and services sectors. Zimbabwe recognizes and applauds the immense strides that Japan continues to make in science, technology, and innovation, and stands ready to increase cooperation with Japan in these and other spheres. Zimbabwe, like others within our African continent, has vast resources across all sectors and remains ready to increase trade and investments with Japan on mutually beneficial basis. In conclusion, allow me to reiterate that Japan has a critical role to play for Africa's economic transformation, diversification, and industrialization. This should be a key focus in our deliberations under this TICAD7 platform. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, President Mnangagwa. Our next speaker is His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone.
Thank you, co-chairs. Your Excellencies, all protocols observed. I want to express my gratitude to the government of Japan and the people of Japan for creating this opportunity for us to be here today. I want to join the queue with colleagues who've spoken about the numerous reforms taking place in Africa, and I want to say specifically in Sierra Leone to make the investment climate favorable. Quite a lot has been done. In fact, in Sierra Leone, we have doubled the number of businesses registered in just 1 year, and we have seen an upward tick in Sierra Leone starting a business indicator and that of protecting minority investors under the World Bank Ease of Doing Business Report 2019. The starting a business indicator improved by 28 points, and the rating indicator 55 out of 190 economies, scoring 91%. Having said that, I want to join my older colleague from Uganda who said that we missed out on the first, the second, and third industrial revolutions. We cannot afford to miss out on the fourth industrial revolution, which is at our doorsteps. So in as much as we are inviting and expecting investment in Africa, we want to make sure it is the right investment, one that is geared towards the people. Human capital development should be utmost. I concur the point made by Singapore that they invested heavily in human capital, and that investment must be appropriate. So now we had a different education. To prepare our kids for the next industrial revolution, we must make sure they know things about big data algorithm, machine learning, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and et cetera. If we do not prepare our kids to take us into the next revolution, we are going to miss out. So we invite definitely businesses to come, but we as a government are investing already 21% of our budget on education, and we want them to join us not only to exploit the natural resources of our countries, but also invest heavily in education, which is the human capital of our countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Bio. The next speaker is President Azali Assoumani, the President of the Union of the Comoros.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellences, Monsieur le Premier ministre.
Mr. Prime Minister of Japan, President of the African Union, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, heads of government, it's for me a veritable pleasure to be here to take part in this TICAD7. We are here for the second plenary session, and allow me to thank the Japanese authorities for the remarkable warmth, since our arrival in this beautiful city of Yokohama. The economy is at the heart of development, and therefore the conference today gives us a vital opportunity so that together we see how we can make our economies better. And indeed, it is true that we know many difficult situations, and we need to try and do our utmost to help our populations for whom daily survival is what they have to endure, with the consequences that we all know. It is for that reason that in terms of the cooperation established between Africa and Japan, we must endeavour to continue down this path. Indeed, TICAD has from its very inception in 1993 been able to respond to the demands, the requests of our countries in putting structures in place to support us that were compliant with our development plans. And it is true that we have worked with Japan together so that we in the Comoros, for example, have worked in the realm of education, fishing, as well as professional training. But we also want to go further so that revenue and employment will be better shared, more equitably shared, and where poverty will be but a remnant of the past. And it is for that reason that we have undertaken considerable reform for our legal state work for business, with a legal system that is constructive, which will allow investment. And we've also implemented a program for improving the business environment, and this has been around since the beginning of 2019. And we want to ensure that innovation and science and technology are at the very heart of what we do. And it is for that reason, before I conclude, that I would like to take this occasion to ask for the support of our partners here to accompany us, ensure that our country, the Comoros, is a country that you come to. And so I would like you to take part in our conference. And in fact, Emmanuel Macron has said that he would organize a conference in Paris.
Thank you, President. We now move on to our next speaker,
Prochain orateur,
the President of the Republic of Liberia.
Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the people of Liberia. Liberia is most honored to partake in this global forum, which is the manifestation of the excellent relationship existing between African nations and Japan. Liberia appreciates the ongoing development cooperation with Japan and remains committed to further strengthening bilateral ties for the benefit of both countries and people. Let me also take this opportunity to express my appreciation for Japan's contribution to Africa's development through the TICAD process, and for Japan's meaningful role in global peacekeeping, noted as an important factor in our developmental process. TICAD7 provides yet another opportunity to compare notes with our fellow African leaders and our global development partners from Japan and other parts of the world on the common good of mankind, particularly the fate of African people. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, considering Africa's current place in the global community and taking into account the evolving realities on the African continent, Liberia could not be more excited about the theme of TICAD7, advancing Africa's development through people, technology, and innovation. Liberia is currently behind on the application of technology to impact its national development goals. This reality compelled us to now pursue a strategy which will fast-track the integration of technology in all facets of our national life. We are fully aware that technological innovation and its proper application can go a long way in solving many of our social economic problems and can even contribute to mitigating some of our political challenges. We have therefore decided to accelerate our effort in this area in order to achieve our development goals in the shortest possible time. I thank you.
Thank you, President Weah. We now move on to His Excellency Vice President Joseph Butore, the Vice President of the Republic of Burundi.
Excellencies, Co-Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring the welcome of our President, Mr. Nkurunziza, and I would like to thank also and to commend the Japanese government and the Japanese people for the organization of this event, which is extremely well done. And also I want to say that we really appreciate the hospitality that we have since we've arrived here in Yokohama, and we hope that this conference will be a success. We are very pleased to see that we are aligned on African priorities as it is in Agenda 2063, and also it is aligned with the Burundi-Japan trade exchanges, because we have a new offices that have been built in Burundi, especially with JICA, and we didn't have it for a long time. We have also a project of rail and road project on this, thanks to this cooperation. We're also very happy to see that this cooperation is increased when Burundi has now a new development plan for until 2027, which will be a strategic tools for public expenditures and also to attract private sector. In order to accelerate transformation in Africa, we need to have a stable environment. That means peace, security, and fight against terrorism. Burundi has been committed to see the role that is being played by the regional and the international institutions in order to have peace back in our countries. And we are very happy for that, and we would like to ask Japan and the partners to support the efforts done by Burundi in Somalia. We've sent troops there in order to reduce the risks that comes from terrorism groups, and which would hinder the economic development there, and it will be also a big threat to Africa and the world. If we have this, we will be in a position to really have an economic miracle in Africa. We believe in this miracle.
Thank you, Vice President Putura. Next speaker is Vice President Isato Toure, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, I would like to thank the government of the people of Japan for the role graciously played in hosting the 7th Tokyo International Conference, and for the warm reception and hospitality accorded to myself and the entire Gambian delegation since our arrival in the beautiful city of Yokohama. This summit is an excellent platform and opportunity to link African and Japanese businesses in a win-win situation. It is only through such partnerships that both parties can ensure their respective contributions to national development, as well as the maintenance of global peace, security, progress, and sustainable development. Famously known as the Smiling Coast of Africa, a long-standing tribute to half-friendly people of culture, the Gambia is open for businesses and has unique endowment that serves as a natural basis for mutually benefit cooperation with TICAD. Since the coming of the new government into power in 2017, the Gambia is once again repositioning itself as a trading hub and gateway to and from Africa, thriving on free market policies and a vibrant private sector. Furthermore, it is worth noting that the Republic of the Gambia is a viable destination for businesses, and we therefore seek the continued support of TICAD and the government of Japan in facilitating investments, trade facilitation, and sociocultural initiatives. At this stage, please allow me to highlight that as a developing country, the Republic of the Gambia is presently implementing a 4-year national development plan whose objectives include restoring good governance, stabilizing our economy, stimulating growth and transforming the economy, reaping the demographic dividend through an empowered youth, and making the private sector the engine of growth. One can only clearly observe that these strategic priorities of the Republic of the Gambia are aligned with the focus of TICAD, as well as other strategic outcomes being sought under the framework of TICAD. I can assure you that the government of the Gambia stands ready to support the initiative of the TICAD processes under the public-private partnership framework, and all our priority programs spans across technology, infrastructure, agriculture, including public irrigation systems, provision of education, particularly technical and vocational education and training. The Gambia further encourages Japan to deepen and promote bilateral economic and trade communication with the Gambia, as well as share economy and trade information for the mutual benefit of all. I thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you, Vice President Torre. Our next speaker is the Right Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Vice President Everton Chimulirenji.
Thank you, Chairperson. Excellencies, Africa's economic transformation requires structural change, focusing on economic diversification and industrialization. For a very long, most of our economies have depended on a few primary products which are exported in their raw form. This situation has led to retarded industrialization and exportation of potential jobs. To turn around this situation, African countries need to seriously undertake reforms that build on economic growth achievements and address binding constraints to initiate an industrial upswing. Africa should concentrate on exploiting its natural resources and specialize in the production of related products. This should be done on an incremental basis to allow industrial capacity building, including skills. Given the constraints in our economies, partnerships with Japanese companies, research institutions, financials would play a pivotal role in speeding up the industrialization process. Chairperson, Excellencies, Malawi, like many African countries, has an agro-based economy. We have endeavored to put in place legislation and policies that support both existing and new investment. Furthermore, we are implementing reforms in energy, land, taxes, aimed at easing doing business in Malawi. In this regard, the Japanese investors are invited to exploit the opportunities available in Malawi. Special attention has been given to improving competitiveness of our private sector, especially the small and medium enterprises, as they play a crucial role in poverty, inequality, and job creation. Whilst this is the case, the ultimate goal of the government of Malawi is to see these SMEs graduate into light industries and eventually heavy industries as the capacity grows. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Vice President Chimulenji. The next speaker is the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the United Republic of Tanzania, Prime Minister Majaliwa Kassim Majaliwa.
Thank you, Chair, Co-Chair, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government. Allow me to join other previous speakers to express my profound gratitude to the government and people of Japan for the warm welcome and hospitality. I also wish to commend the government of Japan, co-organizers, and the Secretariat for the preparation and organization of this TICAD7 summit. I bring with me fraternal greetings from His Excellency Dr. John Paul Magufuli, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, who attaches great importance to the TICAD's process and the noble objective that it seeks to attain. Excellencies, Tanzania has achieved and maintained an average annual growth of 7% in the past 3 years. This performance has been possible due to the structural stabilization of macroeconomic factors, which include enhanced domestic resources mobilization, such as rationalizing fiscal policies, discipline in public spending, taking strong legal and administrative measures to combat corruption, and plugging illicit outflow of resources from the country. Tanzania aspires to become a middle-income country by 2025, and the government seeks to attain this goal through industrialization. The government institutes the necessary infrastructure to facilitate and support manufacturing industries through investment in energy, land, water, transport, value addition of agriculture, and mineral commodities. In achieving this end, the role of private sector cannot be estimated. The private sector is an important actor of economic growth. The government places high priority on the role of the private sector to the country's economic development. In this connection, the government implements a blueprint for regulatory reforms aimed at improving the business environment in the country. This initiative and many more deliberate efforts undertaken by the government to lay down the foundation to achieve an industrial economy. You are all welcome. Through the TICAD process, Japan has been main partner in the development agenda through financial, several development projects, including an energy, one border post, and road connectivity linking Tanzania to 6 landlocked countries. Infrastructure network is potential for regional and continental integration so as to promote trade movement and movement of people. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Asante sana, Prime Minister Majaliwa. The next speaker is His Excellency Prime Minister of the Republic of Mauritius, Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth.
Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Mauritius ranks 20th on the World Bank Index for Ease of Doing Business. I say this with great humility as a small island which has struggled hard to emerge from a low-income to a service-oriented middle-income country. Mauritius has now embarked, together with the private sector, on a journey to become a high-income country around a threefold strategy, namely promoting innovation, harnessing the potential of artificial intelligence, and further opening our country to foreign talents, ideas, and expertise. Mauritius today positions itself as a regional added value platform, an international financial center, and an effective gateway for the movement of both goods and services. We firmly believe that as a relatively small nation, we can act as an innovation nucleus for our continent. It is with this very intention of growing alongside the continent that an African FinTech Association was created, and today more than 30 startups are paving their way in developing required applications for Africa. An innovator's occupation permit now allows for innovators to live, work, and play in Mauritius as long as they are registered within a recognized incubator. We have also introduced the regulatory sandbox license to facilitate the swift structuring of tailor-made regulations to allow innovative projects to operate. We have recently also adopted the Industrial Property Bill, which further enhances the protection of intellectual property rights. And I believe it is most important today to understand what contribution our development partners such as Japan can bring to our individual and collective quest for growth. Technology-based support could be the most obvious response we can expect from our development partners. And allow me here to acknowledge the tremendous work already undertaken by JETRO as well as JICA for the continent and islands of Africa. Mr. Chairperson, Mauritius, at the request of some sister countries, is trying to see how it can assist in bringing investors to special economic zones set up in different countries like Madagascar, Kenya, Senegal, and Ghana. And here I seek the support of Japan to craft together with us triangular projects. Let the TICAD partnership be a key vector for accelerating transformation and inclusive and sustainable growth in Africa, and more importantly, a story of empowerment. We look to Japan to deliver on this with us. And thank you very much, and thank you for the warm and hospitable welcome that we have received from the government of Japan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We move on now to ask His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Prime Minister Ismail Ould Bede Sidia, to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of Allah, peace be upon Prophet Muhammad. Your Excellency Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister of Japan, Your Excellencies, Heads of States, and Your Honorable Ministers, first I would like to express my thanks for Prime Minister of Japan on the name of the President of Mauritania, Said Mohamed Ghazouani. I'm honored to represent him in this 7th version of TICAD, the Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Your Excellencies, I would like also to thank, through you, the Prime Minister, the people of Japan for the warm hospitality we have received since we came to your country. And I would like to express my appreciation for the relationship between our two countries, Japan and Mauritania, and for what Japan is providing to Mauritania of support in different fields. Your Excellency, here while we are gathering in this beautiful city of Yokohama, we can recall the main principles of Tokyo, TICAD for the development of Africa. Japan, through this conference, played a pivotal role to strengthen the policies of our countries in order to develop our economic growth rates and to achieve development, welfare. Also, Japan succeeded in contributing actively in Africa's development, the continent that has great potentials, untapped potentials. Your Excellency, we in the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, we are in a distinctive phase in our history as for politics, and we are all determined to strengthen the justice and the rule of law in our country, to guarantee good education for our citizens, health system, health coverage and access to different services, and also to eradicate poverty. To achieve these goals, we have to work seriously to protect the gains we achieved in order to maintain stability and peace in our country, and also it entails us to stand against the challenges we are facing. We can mention these challenges, the diverse effects of the climate change and also in different environmental risks, the fluctuation of prices of raw materials as well. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate our commitment to TICAD process, and thank you so much. Peace be upon you.
Thank you very much. We now move on to the Prime Minister of the Republic of Cabo Verde, Prime Minister José Ulysses de Pina Correa e Silva.
Muito obrigado, Sr. Presidente.
Thank you very much, Chair. We would like to thank the emphasis on private sector in qualification of human resources in TICAD. Partnership between governments, investors, and civil society organizations for the investment in trade, technology, innovation. They are factors that will foster development, economic development, and will accelerate development. Opportunity from private sector in investment in infrastructure in Africa. We need good partnership for the attraction of investment, technology, good practices in private sector in order to avoid the debt for our countries. We must have infrastructure aiming at producing results in our economies and making them more competitive and attract more private investment for the creation of job and economic development. All the frameworks are there already and opportunities. We have to create good governance for the opportunities to happen and transform into reality. Political stability, economic stability, social stability, these are important because we need to have these effects, and we need investment, and these are important for a good business environment because this creates trusts in the relations between the sectors, public and private, national or foreign private sector. We as Cape Verde, we support all these factors. Our assets are very important, and we trust in human capital for this to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Our next speaker is Foreign Minister of the Republic of Tunisia, Mr. Kemayes Genoa. Foreign Minister of Tunisia, is he here still? If not, then we move on to the Eritrea. Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Eritrea, Mr. Osman Saleh. Eritrea, please. There you are now.
Yeah. Your Excellency, Mr. Co-Chair, allow me to convey my sincere gratitude to the government of Japan for its serious and relentless interest to foster robust partnership with Africa. The profound changes that have occurred globally, especially in the Americas, Europe, and Asia, in the past decades since the launching of TICAD have been colossal indeed. Where is the place of Africa against this backdrop of global change? In the immediate aftermath of colonialism, the founding fathers who spearheaded the struggle for the liberation and the independence of the peoples of Africa had blazed an inspiring path, but their lofty aspirations have not been realized. The forces of domination and exploitation have employed all possible means to marginalize Africa and usurp its resources in the past 6 years. Still, the primary blame rests on us Africans. We need to solve our own problems ourselves. We can draw many lessons from Japan's trajectory and history of development. The opportunity for fostering genuine partnership between Japan and Africa is also huge. Building a successful and sustainable partnership is, however, predicated on the existence of a congenial setting. In the event, it will be vital to chart out at this juncture a new roadmap for a genuine and effective partnership by thoroughly appraising the global developments that have been unfolded in the past quarter century and future trends. I humbly urge that this cardinal issue is broached in the current summit. I thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. We will now ask His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau, Mr. Aristides Gomez.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Chair, on behalf of my delegation, I would like to echo all the preceding speakers in thanking the government of Japan and its people and offering the opportunity of TICAD to us all. An opportunity to highlight the achievements of Guinea-Bissau. For example, improving the value chain, improving our agriculture and tourism, because we are gifted with 25% of our territory already designated as a reserve. And we also have the biosphere, which offers innumerable possibilities in terms of attracting investment in order to use this space and grounds for discussions with Japan. In order to face the challenges we still face ahead, we have established a plan to 2025 to create the conditions conducive to benefiting from the investments made in this environment. In order to realize this ambition, the plan aims to tackle our greatest weakness, which is the need to consolidate our democratic institutions and the rule of law, because Guinea-Bissau, since its independence, has gone through some very difficult political instability. And so the implementation of this plan to reinforce our institutions and strengthen our administrative, financial and economic capacities, the efforts are fundamental to help create an environment for private investors to be able to participate in the transformation and harnessing the potential of our country. So this is the ambition that Guinea-Bissau has given itself today, and why we are participating in this event hosted by Japan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We now ask Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Tunisia again to take the floor, Mr. Kemais Jinaiwa.
Thank you, Mr. President, Honorable Chairman, Honorable Head of State and Government, Excellencies, Ministers, and Member of the Delegation. I am privileged to take part in this vibrant and important forum on behalf of the Tunisian government. I would like to avail myself of this opportunity to extend my warmest greeting to all the participants present in this session, and my sincere gratitude to the Japanese authorities for their valuable efforts and commitment to the success of this summit. Japan has endeavored all over this period to stimulate progress in Africa with implementing TICAD guiding principle, thus to say African ownership and international partnership, inclusiveness and openness in order to support Africa development dynamism and priorities. It is essential to mention that all effort in preparing for this gathering have been guided by the African Union Agenda 2063 and the global commitment to 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We all acknowledge that the current challenges require a radical transformation of the economic model and shift towards diversification and industrialization through appropriate infrastructure investment in various fields such as energy sources, science, technology, innovation, and human capitals. Tunisia, which embarked since 2011 on a successful democratic transition, has directed all energies to build a new inclusive economic model to unlock the country's potential and consolidate its comparative advantages. A massive scheme which was announced at the International Investment Conference held in Tunis in November 2016 showed the interest of Tunisia. I would like to underline in particular 3 lines of action that could be crucially instrumental in ensuring a unity of purpose and in achieving cost-effective outcomes of this TICAD. The TICAD process is particularly appreciated and a value-oriented collaborative effort by Japan. It is in this line of thoughts that Tunisia looked to the initiative to propose a new quality infrastructure partnership with Japan
The logic behind this initiative is quite simple. We have faith in this cooperation paradigm and technology. Japanese solution ensure resilience, competitive lifestyle cost, and substantial transfer of know-how. It is essential to reinforce the official development aid and cooperation tools aiming at enhancing African capacity and exploring scientific and technological innovation. It is finally important to continue to endeavor to promote inter-African collaboration through tripartite cooperation programs to stimulate homegrown know-how and.
Thank you very much indeed. We now will ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Equatorial Guinea, Mr. Simeon Oyono Esono Anjwe.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Señor presidente.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I want to express the greetings from Teodoro Obiang, our president. I always would like to express to the Japanese develop, because Africa is committed to economic development. This conference for the Africa development is a clear example of cooperation to grow together, to progress together, to develop our economies through innovation, technology. I mean, taking as Japan as a clear example, we can follow a process that will help us to develop economic that can be supported in the same way as Japan was supported to all foreign institutions. We ask to be supported, and also the arrival of the private sector with our development. According to the goals of our government, we hope to achieve economic development that will guarantee the stability of our people. We are taking measures that stimulate the economic growth. We think that our associations with Japan and to adopt its model of development can help us to develop our private sector and also to achieve the objectives of our agenda and other objectives of the Africa development. Thank you.
External Relations of the Republic of Cameroon, Mr. Mbela Mbela. Is the Minister of External Affairs of
President
is here? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Monsieur le Président, je voudrais d'abord.
First and foremost, Mr. Chair, I would like, on behalf of my delegation, express our sincere thanks for the quality and the warmth of the welcome extended to us by the Japanese government, its people, and the city of Yokohama. We would also like to express our thanks for the quality of working documents that have been given to the delegations. As we hold this conference, the economic background in Africa is promising. Indeed, given the current economic and financial context, which is very difficult, and the volatility of commodities, African economies have managed to build their resilience and maintain a sustained economic performance. In the same way, the natural resources that are available are also a source of optimism in terms of development at a continental level and can be an engine for growth. The factors contributing to economic development in Africa have led to the creation of a structure which helps the continent resist the different external shocks. With regards to Cameroon, the integration of our economy in order to be more resilient to exogenous shocks, external shocks, with production. Our economy, nonetheless, still faces external and internal difficulties, which is why we want to turn away from pessimistic thoughts and look towards a brighter future. And we are working towards greater regional integration. The President of Cameroon has been committed since 2010 in an ambitious plan for the emergence of its economy. Despite the threat of security and the Boko Haram attacks, we live in a country where we have stability, peace, and security. And our development is grounded in this, and we have the second level of potential on the African continent.
Thank you very much, Minister. We're now going to ask the Secretary General of the World Customs Organization, Mr. Mikuria.
Thank you, Co-Chair. World Customs Organization, comprised of 183 members, develops global standards for custom procedures and provide capacity building support. In Africa, like in other regions, customs are strategically located at borders and plays a key role in facilitating trade and regional integration, including the support for the continental free trade area. Customs also contributes to human security to protect citizens from illicit trade and illicit financial flows. To support these tasks of customs, WCO promotes smart borders equipped with technology and innovation to manage risks. We also advise the importance of human development and governance issues to enable border agencies to develop sound partnership with the private sector. I hope that TICAD can encourage African governments to support customs with adequate legal framework and necessary resources as critical soft infrastructure for improving business environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General Mikuria. We now will ask the Minister of Economy, Planning and Development of the Republic of Chad, Dr. Issa Dobranje.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, I would like to convey salutations from our head of state of Chad, and also like to thank the government of Japan for the warm welcome extended to our delegation, and to thank the Japanese government and the city of Yokohama for all their work. We would like to acknowledge the relevance of the theme chosen for this session, investment in human capital, technology and innovation for development, but also the structural role played by investments for creating jobs and harnessing the potential of our of prosperity on our continent. We are working in a difficult context with different crises compounding the situation, financial, human and security crises. In order to mitigate the effect of these crises, in 2017 we organized a measure to structure financing and the transfer of know-how in order to further develop the agricultural sector with more than 40 million hectares and 114 thousand heads of cattle, important energy resources, mines and oil that are all sources of new employment and could help in our fight against poverty. In order to harness the potential of all of this foreign investment, we have established an important set of measures aimed at external partners. We would, through the establishment of the program established by the head of state, encourage private sector players from Japan and other countries to a more attractive investment environment through the guarantee of investments. In October of this year, we would like to organize an international conference on business environments with the support of the World Bank and other partners in order to facilitate investment towards Chad. We would also like to signal the launch coming up of a new program to reinforce these measures already being implemented by Chad in order to diversify our economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our last but one speaker will be the Minister of Economy and Finance of the Republic of Mozambique, Mr. Adriano Afonso Mailani.
Thank you very much, Chair. On behalf of His Excellency Philip Jacinto Nunes, President of the Republic of Mozambique, I would like to thank the invitation that was extended to us to take part in this TICAD7 on Africa's development. Mozambique has chosen four priority areas: agriculture, tourism and infrastructure, because we believe that this will boost growth, economic diversification, and because of their potential in the job creation, especially for youth and young girls in particular. The achievement of projects in the hydrocarbon sectors, we believe that will increase our determination of industrialization and economic transformation, because with the income from this sector, we will be able to invest in education aimed at competitiveness, as well as in health, agriculture, and these are important factors for our development, inclusive development of our country. Currently, we are implementing our private sector strategy that is attracting private investment. And in this regard, it is very important to highlight the participation of Japanese private sector. I would not conclude without thanking all the countries, institutions and organizations that came to Mozambique and supported us when we were facing the cyclones Idai and Kenneth. Therefore, we would like to extend our gratitudes, and we believe that we will continue to benefit from your support. Thank you very much.
Montebrigado, Minister. The last speaker is from the European Commission, Commissioner for International Cooperation and Development, Mr. Neven Mimika.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, we are at a juncture where Africa has captured the world's attention. Commerce is thriving, investment is pouring in, and there is a palpable political will to begin the road to continental integration with the new continental free trade area. If we are going to take on the challenges and harness the opportunities, we first have to change the narrative of what has for so long been a donor-recipient relationship. We have to build a new partnership, putting respective strengths at work. And we have to work with the private sector to create more and better jobs. This is the essence of the new Africa-Europe Alliance for Sustainable Investment and Jobs that was launched just 1 year ago. A change of narrative, but also a change of instruments. Via our European External Investment Plan, we want to help African and European companies, especially micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, to access finance and de-risking guarantees to develop and to scale up. Private sector investment in Africa, supported by the European Union, will grow 10 times from 45 billion euros by 2020 to at least 500 billion euros in the next 7 years, creating at least 10 million new jobs in Africa. The potential for economic transformation is enormous, especially, but not exclusively, in digital technology, innovation, energy, transport, and agriculture and industry sectors. We are investing in solar power plants and kits, wind farms, and renewable energy. We are increasing access to finance for smallholder farmers, women, and young entrepreneurs. And we are strengthening our action in vocational education and training. We are working to improve the investment and business climate as well. Long term, there is also enormous potential for a comprehensive continent-to-continent free trade agreement between Europe and Africa. What will determine our success is our ability to work in partnership, people-to-people partnership, business-to-business partnership. It is also my firm belief that there is scope for a renewed partnership between the European Union, Japan, and Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all those who have participated. Our last input, we just about in time to meet the time that was allotted to us. I just want to highlight some of the issues which nearly all of us touched on, which are quite important to the African continent. our continent. And many have spoken about what we now need to do to address some of the challenges that face our continent. And some of those are that we should have peace in order to have economic growth. We do need peace and stability. Political stability in our various countries is therefore important. And we can say with a measure of pride that Africa has entered a new era. Peace is beginning to prevail on our continent, and there is political stability. And as a continent, we've committed ourselves to silencing the guns by 2020, and we will work feverishly to ensure that the guns indeed are silenced and that there is stability on our continent. A number of you spoke about the rule of law, that in order to foster economic growth, our countries need to embrace the rule of law. We need to ensure that there is stability, there is certainty, there is reliability that investors will see. And by doing so, we will be reducing the risks that investors often fear they will get in many of our countries. So rule of law is therefore important. But as part of that, we also need to deal with corruption. A number of us also spoke about the demon of corruption, that we've got to deal with it quite effectively, have institutions that are strong and empowered to deal with corruption, and have laws that are enforceable to deal with corrupt activities. And where money has been stolen and siphoned out of our continent, it should be returned. We should also do everything we can to create a conducive atmosphere for investment in our various countries and improve the ease of doing business, and that the regulatory environment should be so well aligned with being able to attract businesses to come into our countries. And we should cut red tape. And we should focus on attracting foreign investments. Now, Japan is invested in a number of our countries on the continent, and we want them to continue doing so. But in order to grow our economies, we also need now to take a number of other measures. Innovation is what we'll need to rely on to grow our economies. And some of us spoke about some of the things we need to do to incentivize businesses to invest in our economies. Tax cuts have also been mentioned. We need to establish industrial parks. Special economic zones are some of the measures that some of us spoke about that can be embarked upon. Infrastructure remains one of the key enablers that we can embark upon. Infrastructure for investment to take place, building of roads, building of dams, building of bridges is important, but also social infrastructure. Social infrastructure that impacts on the lives of ordinary people, be it in education, be it in health. Those are important enablers that will enable our people to participate more effectively in economic activity. Education is one of the key areas that we need to focus on, and focus on human capital so that Africans are able to acquire skills that they can use in economic participation in their own economies. Increasing productivity is one of the key areas. We need to lower the cost of doing business, the cost of living as well. One spoke about the three areas that remain a risk to impeding economic growth, and that is the cost of electricity, the cost of transport, and the cost of money. And if we can address these, then productivity can be increased to a point where it can start to generate growth. we also need to focus on our strengths. One of our key strengths as the African continent is agriculture. Our continent is well endowed with great lands that are fertile, and we need to focus on agriculture, but also ensure that we move up the value chain, agro-processing, and we need to involve more and more people in profitable agricultural activity. One of those areas where we have great benefit or good endowment is our natural resources. Continent is well endowed with natural resources, but we now need to move more and more towards beneficiating so that we are not just exporters of ore and rock and sand to other countries in the world. We should now beneficiate our mineral resources, promoting innovation and harnessing new technologies is important. The fourth industrial revolution and artificial intelligence is something that many young people on our continent take so well to, and we just need to open avenues for them to take this up. A few of us spoke about regional integration. The various regional blocks on our continent are becoming more and more economically integrated, and we just have adopted a landmark and a milestone Africa Free Trade Area Agreement, which is going to give us, as African countries, a great deal of opportunities, and this is where regional integration is important. Well, I think I enjoyed the speaker from the Customs organization who said that we need to rationalize our customs to prevent illicit trading. Security is becoming more and more of an issue on our continent. A number of countries are spending quite a big portion of their budgets on security. This is an area that we need to focus on. I guess when we silence the guns, the money that we are spending on security should begin to recede and come down so that we can spend it on developing our people. We also need to focus on the youth, particularly on young girls, the youth, to open up pathways for them, for education, for skills, and also for businesses. The young girls must be given great opportunities to get into school and finish school. Small and medium enterprises is an area that we need to empower and to focus on. And in the end, we need to improve our partnerships. Partnerships with the rest of the world, partnerships with various associations around the world, but also improve people-to-people partnerships. This is one area that is so important. We do so through tourism, enabling Africans to visit one another's countries and open our countries for tourism to get other people from other continents to visit our continent. Those, colleagues, are some of the inputs that were made here, which I found to be most valuable. And this is what makes TICAD such a valuable opportunity for all of us to be able to learn from one another. And with that, I'd like to shut up now and hand over to my co-chair, who will then lead us to conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Well, I was also very impressed by the various transformation taking place in each country. And I also very impressed meeting is almost finishing in time. Remarkable, very important. This is very important, honestly. We Japanese always try to make it on time, in time, and well, it's very important. But because of your company and your chairman leadership, meeting is finishing almost on time. Well, I'd like to reiterate that Japan will be always by your side in order to support these positive movements. We do so by what I like to call the Japanese blend. At first, the foremost is the human resources development, both in Africa and in Japan. Then the promotion of value-added agriculture through the initiatives such as CARD. CARD means Coalition of African Rice Development, and such as SHIP, the smallholder horticulture environment and promotion. Well, and also we should not forget the quality infrastructure, not only infrastructure, quality infrastructure, which can reinforce the inter-Africa connectivity. When last and not least, facilitate the innovation which makes Africa leapfrog possible. Thank you for your cooperation and attention. Thank you.
I think we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, distinguished guests,